So this is basically, the format was that we were dealing with a non-agriculture audience, which doesn't know the intricacies of what agriculture is going through, and introducing an idea that agriculture and food is not a sunset industry, but it's a sunrise industry, and it could be a future job engine for youth. So I will go with the Ignite talk, and then you can ask me questions. So please don't be obsessed with only the content, but we also look at the communication, because it's a communication session, okay? So now, this is something which was auto, and now it is under my control. So you can see this is what happens in actually situations. So what has happened? Okay. So basically, a lot of people consider agriculture as an informal sector. All the small and marginal farmers are entrepreneurs. We have almost like 500 million small farms. And all of them are entrepreneurs in their own way, but they are not necessarily big time entrepreneurs. They are come in all shapes and sizes. They are nano, they are micro, they are small, they are medium, they are large. And that's why this sector is very difficult to really create jobs, because 80% of the agriculture stays in the informal sector. Structural transformations taking place in agriculture. The conventional way of thinking is that's only cereals and it's only production. Actually, the more opportunities are now coming in vegetables, milk, fisheries, eggs. The kinds of non-cereal crops are more job producing and more job intensive than just the cereal crops. And I think this is what we see now in most countries. We have a tipping point. In 2025, in many countries, the non-cereal production will exceed the cereal production. And more jobs are going to come out of non-cereals. And unless and until we look at food differently, we will be looking at only a small subset of jobs which can be created out of agriculture. And food is not just production. I think we are stuck with all statistics which shows agriculture is just 10% of the jobs. I think it's a big myth which has been propagated by people who have not done statistics properly. In fact, processing, value chain, wholesaling, transport, logistics, and if you look at the numbers, I have done some calculations, the sector is about $4.8 trillion. And as an egg GP, we have to lay claim to this 4.8 trillion rather than lay claim to just production of some crops and commodities. The faster in 2050, we should be known as food and agriculture GP, which is producing a wealth of $10 trillion. That's what we should be about. Now we have a paradox. We have problems. It's going to not automatically being 10 trillion problems. We're dealing with farmers. Average age of farmers in Africa, 60. Someone talked, Isabella just talked that young guys don't have any land. The guys who have land are not sitting on innovations. And the guys who want to do innovations don't have land. We have paradox problem. But what is the demography? 364 million Africans between age of 15 and 35. If we are not going to start working with these people in preparing our programs from day one, we are not going to get to 10 trillion at all. So we have to change the way we do things in terms of bringing the young people in project preparation from day one. It's not only young people, it's young men and women. Women as well, because Africa, 50% of the production is done by women. 10 to 12 million new young workers seek employment every year. We have to interact with those people who are looking for employment opportunities. 60% of Africa's unemployed are young adults, and this population is growing. You have heard this again. So I think this youth demographics is a very important part of our future work. The faster we realize it, it's better for us. We can't keep on working with 60-year-old farmers all our life. There are new opportunities. Why do we consider agriculture as just production? Mechanization, entrepreneurship, technology. I consider urban agriculture as I think 2050, we will be creating more jobs out of urban agriculture. We will not be known as rural GP, but as an urban agriculture GP who will do food everywhere, whether it is in vertical farming, whether it's urban, whether it's rural, everywhere. Climate change, big opportunity. Energy, big opportunity. On-farm. We are obsessed with on-farm. Off-farm and non-farm will create more jobs. And faster we realize that off-farm and non-farm are more important, better for us. Enterprise intensity in agriculture and food systems is, you can see, 500 million farms, only 40 million SMEs. Our enterprise intensity in agriculture is just 8%. And that 8% is only one which is creating more than 5 jobs per entrepreneur. The rest is creating only 2.3 jobs per entrepreneur. Jobs are going to come from SMEs, and unless this 40 million becomes 100 million, you will not have more jobs. Each of our projects should have a strong incubation, startup, SME, youth component. If we do not do this, we are not job creators. We are just sustenance job creators. So we need to move away from this thinking about just relying on a very low level of base of farmers. Now, this is not new. Look at EU, 310,000 food companies, 4.8 million employees, 1 trillion for the EU 27 size of the economy. 99% of enterprise in food sector are small and medium size. You go to France, you go to Holland, you go everywhere, Germany. Jürgen mentions this example of a village in Germany which produces wine, which does tourism and all that. So agriculture is not about just producing something. It is about creating an ecosystem of jobs and employment around that. And that's the model we need to look at rather than be obsessed with just production and producing things all the time. Size of food sector in India. This is a very gross estimate. I think it's underestimated. It's $250 billion right now. If you come with a different definition of food. So I think advocacy terms, all our managers, all our task team leaders should know the new definition of food and should have estimation in their own context about what food means. And you should blog, you should tweet all the time the new number until this becomes reality. We have many examples. Kenya floriculture. This is an unbelievable example of where 507 million worth floriculture is exported. There are 2 planes from Nairobi which go to Amsterdam flower market every day. And they have created an ecosystem around floriculture. I think these are the clusters we need to develop. I think when we talk about jobs, jobs is a cluster concept. It's an economic concept. And unless and until we are thinking about 1,000 clusters of the kind we are talking about in Kenya, and you should realize that Ethiopia has already started working on this. They are at 230 million. So it is not that. We have 5 clusters in Africa now on rose and a lot of other things which are almost reaching $1 billion. And awareness of our own GP on these clusters is very low. We need to know what are the 100 most promising opportunities. Yeah, I'm there. Uberization tractor, I'm not going to talk. We talked about, and the guys don't call it Uberization, but we call it because we are marketing it that way. Just today, Jürgen talked about Hello Tractor, Hello Food. So in the famine situation, we will have people supplying food and people want food. They will put an app and they say we need food. Others will say we will give you food. And if we can reconfigure the whole famine into an app in which people who have food can supply people who don't need food, it will be a very interesting thing to do. Even if it fails, it's worth trying because this is going to revolutionize the way the food distribution during the crisis is taken. So it's how do we take these innovations to the next stage? These are the new pathways to jobs. We have to create an enterprise ecosystem. We need aggregation, productive alliance. You are going to hear about this next week, and the skill incubation entrepreneurship. These are the 4 elements we need very strongly. Just to leave you with 2 visuals. Nature of future jobs, ICT. Each farm will be having a webcam by which it will be recording what is happening on how the farming is done, how the weeding side is done, whether pesticides are being used. We will have a RFID tracking on the trucks. We heard that from Hello Tractor guys, live streaming. You have Web3. Every farm will be web enabled. This is 2050. It's not a joke. This is futuristic. It's happening somewhere in the world right now. Second is the very important concept of farmer becoming a farmer, pharmaceutical farmer. It's producing a lot of enzymes, extracting enzymes from waste. This is not a pipe dream. There are a lot of enzymes being produced out of food. So the farmer is becoming a farmer and is producing a lot of enriched foods in the production. So agriculture has to acquire some characteristics of manufacturing to create jobs. Faster we realize that there will be industrial reorganization of agriculture in 2050, and agriculture, half of agriculture will be like manufacturing, and lot of this production will happen. There will be customized ordering of crops, in which you will have to order crops through some kind of genetical modification, and you will prepare customized nutrition sensitive, iodine deficiency, fortified crops. All kinds of crops will be produced in factories all over the plants. I want to leave you with these thoughts and urge you to start thinking differently if we have to survive in 2050. We should be known as the GP which has created 10 million jobs in 2050. Thank you very much.